Hey everybody, welcome. All right, so we're gonna get into this. I haven't seen this Trump video yet. Have you? You've watched it?
I did watch it. I sent it to you yesterday. It's a 4 minute video of Trump's response to being indicted a fourth time, and this is like a total of 93 charges between all of the indictments at this point.
I mean, at this point, it's. I don't know how anybody can see that this is not a grossly politically motivated
Yeah,
um, situation here. When people want to talk about election interference, um, through everything that happened with Zelensky and the Ukraine phone call and all that stuff, and oh, you're trying to have him investigate. You remember the whole thing is like you were trying to have him
yeah.
investigate it. I feel like honestly I don't even hear. I don't really hear anybody talking about the indictments.
So
I mean I do, but like
yeah, so
when I'm on Facebook and I'm in kind of like a Facebook group that has people
this
who are
last one is the
vehemently
most
against him.
significant. This last one is the most significant, not because of the content, but because of the implementation style and the legal tricks it uses to be able to place Trump not only in a state situation where he couldn't be pardoned on a federal level, but also there is not even if the Republican governor wanted to pardon him, which he doesn't, he couldn't because there's a pardon board. There's a special board for that. Um, but the way they get around it is they know that they can't get a conviction or whatever you call it, um, based upon intent. They can't prove intent because Trump always says whatever he's saying, he believes it. Even if he says something completely different tomorrow, when he's saying it, he believes it. He's not just blowing
Right.
smoke.
So I mean, I feel
He's
like
always
that's
speaking
kind
truth.
of. I mean, I know that is this the one with Georgia? Is that what this
Yes,
one
this
is?
one's just Georgia.
And in the Georgia one, what I've heard is that even in that, he says, do it the like, find a way, and find a
Yeah,
legal way,
find the votes.
find the votes,
That's one of the things they're
which I
getting
think
at.
is like totally makes to me it makes complete sense because it's like, look, like if you were to go back and you were to look at the Bush Gore election. I mean, it went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and effectively, each of them was saying, "Find the votes,"
Yeah.
because it was, Gore was winning, and then Bush was like, "Find the votes," and then now Bush was winning, and then Gore was like, "Well, find the votes," and then,
So
boom, and it just went back and forth.
yeah, the language can be seen in multiple different ways. So of course you can read into it the way that is more convenient,
Right. So
the best
how
for
I wonder
prosecution.
how they get. Do you have any insight on
Yes.
how they got it as to be like, okay, we've removed it from interpretation?
So yes, what they have done is they've used something. See, I've listened to shows over the last 2 days. One is Ben Shapiro's breakdown, so I know I kind of he usually does a really good legal breakdown, and I'm trying to piece that together in my mind right now. But um, there is a technique that they use to get the mob, and it's called something. I can't remember what it is. It's a certain type of statute, certain type of
But the way that it functions is
yeah, the way that the function is it operates. It says, okay, we're never going to nail one of these guys down because there's always plausible deniability. And so what we're going to do is instead we're going to group everyone together, and we're going to charge them all, and then squeeze and find people by that. And then what you have to do is you have to prove the conspiracy exists in order to indict the people within the conspiracy. It's kind of bogus,
but even in
but
that, it
it's a
still
tool to
doesn't land
squeeze
on
people so
Trump.
they don't get prosecuted. So like so these other people would be on the hook for the similar, like, for the whole charge. For all the charges, these other people will be on the hook for it also. And they're counting on people being like, hell no, not me. And they're gonna be people that
Well,
flip.
they would have to say, yeah, no, Trump told me that yeah, he knows that this
or
is
they have
all
to reveal some
BS.
new information that is useful to get Trump. So they're using this tactic in order to apply pressure on everyone involved to give with serious jail time, like that's likely, in order to get some of them to flip and give him give him Trump. They want Trump. They want Trump's head on a platter. So
It sounds absolutely corrupt. Like they're taking all, like it sounds like they're seeking loopholes.
well, they are seeking. They it, that this the simplest way to explain it is they can't prove intent, so they need to do something else. That's the problem. That's the reason why they can't do it. They can't prove that he secret believed. Like if they knew that, or if they could prove that Trump believed that he lost, but he wanted to try to find some way around it and try to beat the system and win anyways, then they got him. Then that's what they want him for. But he believed it the whole time, and they're like, he couldn't have believed that the whole time. He could. We're gonna
He
prove
had
he
all of
believed that
these
the whole
people
time.
telling
They
him.
can't because he believed it the whole time. And even if he didn't, when he's saying things, like I said before, he's always authentic. Even if he's saying something
He can't
completely
help
opposite of
it.
what he said the day before, and he's saying something new now, it's authentic in a moment because of some new angle or whatever else. Even if it's not, even like like they could be completely polar opposite ideas. It's but he's never lying when he's saying it. Like he's always believing it at the core. So because he has that kind of personality, you can't get him on intent. You just can't.
Yeah, it's
And
and
so
I
they know
think that
that, and that's one of the things they would need to prove in order to get him on these things. So therefore, they're going this other route. I can't remember what it's called.
it doesn't even sound like that could be successful. In my opinion, like if you don't have the intent, then you don't have anything. If you can't prove the intent, then you don't have anything. I mean, that was the, if there is an alternate explanation to all of this, then I don't see how they can get him, because it's like, yeah, when he says stuff like go find the votes, I need to win this election, go through the process like you are, like your job is, do your job, and do it legally, right? Take the legal route. When he says things along those lines, it's it kind of, in a sense demonstrates his intent. But I guess let's actually hear what he
RICO.
has to say, because I'm not.
RICO, RICO. It's called RICO statutes that they established in order to. They basically
It's like a
established
drug
bunch of
lord thing or
protocols.
something, right?
Established a bunch of protocols to put together to be able to get the slippery. No one really knows anything. Just too much compartmentalization. All that you can't do, but you can place people. Send them.
So this is not going to go anywhere though, because Rico, as far as I could tell, it has some. It's more surrounding like drug lords type
So
of stuff,
it
right?
has.
That's why it was developed.
So yeah. But it has teeth, and in fact, Ben Shapiro wrote a book back in like 2014 about this statute in general. He thinks that it should apply. They should actually use it to apply to politicians in general. I said, but they don't, and they never will, and so therefore, and they haven't. And the only people that propose it are like people that are out of power. And so because it's a banana republic type of thing, if they would just apply it, what you do, because politicians have like the deep state, they have all these patsies, they have all sorts of stuff built in. So it actually makes sense to use it for in politics specifically. So it's not the worst idea in the world, but it is being applied in definitely very creative ways that are probably not, that probably shouldn't stand up.
From my understanding of how Trump has handled himself in this entire process, I don't think that this is all gum, no teeth. It may have an illusion of teeth to it, but if Trump believes the things that he believes, and even if everybody's just going along with it, then they're just going along with it, and maybe they're believing, like, I mean, I guess maybe they could get caught up in coming across information that convinces them otherwise, and then because that information convinced them, now when they go out and they start saying things that they know are lies, that can get them in trouble. But unless you find something where Trump is literally saying, yeah, I know that this is BS, or in the vein of, yeah, I
Yeah.
know that this is BS, but we need to push forward with this anyways, right?
Yeah.
I
I
think
link
that's
you.
the only way that you're going to get him on anything. And even if that was it, it's kind of like, okay, that's a really shitty political move, because we know that politicians do that kind of thing all the time. They lie about everything all the time. And
But
so
it
that's
has
just
to
going to
do
open
with
up
the
the
idea
doors
that,
for
for
even more.
instance, they decided that Hillary was. It's like, she did some things wrong, but we don't think we should prosecute it, and they just close it, right? Comey closed it out,
Right.
and so that same thing, that
You
same
could
standard
apply it
should
to that. You
apply
could apply
to
it to
Trump,
all kinds of stuff.
right? So I'm saying, like they don't equally apply the law. So if you don't equally apply the law, you can't just do it to target the people and just use it when it's convenient. So that's the reason why it should fail on a
Yeah, this
in
is
that
this
sense.
is an act based off of conveniency in order to remove him from.
Well, I did link you in Messenger a little. It's like an 8-minute video of Shapiro explaining the RICO standard,
Okay,
the RICO double
I'll
standard
I'll
explanation.
check that out. Maybe we can watch that another time too. On
Yeah,
maybe, hey, if we get comments saying, hey, I want to watch that, we can do that.
yeah.
Um, Otherwise, I'll just watch it in a few days,
Switch
or
tabs if
maybe
we're gonna play
tomorrow.
this jump video. I see the wrong one.
Oh, ding! There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, are you ready?
Yep. Let's do it.
Let's start it up.
It is now 100% proven that the Biden crime family received more than $20 million from foreign countries while Crooked Joe was vice president, and probably a lot more than that. That's just the money they found.
So that's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on.
Not one of Joe Biden's defenders has even attempted to explain what Joe and his family did, including his children and his grandchildren. What were they doing getting all of this money? I believe we have a compromised president. He was bribed and now he's being blackmailed. He's a Manchurian candidate. That's why Crooked Joe is letting other countries walk all over the United States. He's afraid to bring it up. He doesn't want to talk about it. He's petrified of China because they know exactly how much money has been given to him, and they know exactly where it is. China has paid him a fortune. Just think of what China has gotten for all that money. Biden shut down my administration's initiative targeting Chinese spies in the United States. He shut it down cold.
Which kind of points to why we had remember when we had that balloon that was flying over the United States
Yeah.
for days, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was way longer than if it were Russia. If Russia had balloon, then we would have shot it down immediately. But we kind of
observed it, like we saw it and we left it alone, and
because
then
we
observed it and then
have
we
a
left it
weird
alone.
scenario with China of not trying not to piss them off.
Yeah,
type
but
of
if they've
thing.
got
Like,
a literal spy balloon, and it wasn't like a weather balloon, like it had a camera attached to it. It was literally a spy balloon, was it not?
it's ridiculous that we blew it up instead of just gobbled it up. Like, right? We should
have captured it.
Yeah, we should have captured it. We should have captured it and figure out what the heck this was, and you can find out exactly. We would know the source. But instead we blew it out of the sky. That's even dumb. It's like, unless you're worried about, I mean, it wasn't moving.
It wouldn't
very
make
fast.
any sense.
They could have easily sent out drones to disable it in a way of like they can poke holes in the flying thing in the whatever, keep it afloat, and then it would just fall, and they could monitor the fall and collect it down there or whatever. I mean, they could have done many different things.
It's strange because I feel like there's always the excuse of like, don't blame something going wrong on malice when it's most likely just incompetence.
Yeah.
But how much incompetence do you really have to have until you understand that it's malice?
So there are so many people that are cowards, and they need 100% verifiable information before they make any sort of call, because
Well,
they're
sure,
in a
but
bureaucracy and they want, and so like they just won't. They're like, well, I don't know. Who
I need
knows?
more
It's like, nobody
information.
knows. No one knows. No one knows. I don't know. And they just do this thing, and they have slow action. They don't
So you're what you're kind of pointing to is kind of how like we all knew that the government was monitoring our cell phones and they were monitoring our text messages, and we all knew this to be true, but because there was that air of, well, I mean, maybe not, we didn't have that confirmation, so it just kind of became kind of like a, well, this is something that we know. But then when Edward Snowden came and he was like, yeah, this is what this is what the government is doing. Now we have evidence of it. So you're pointing to how there's a group of people, there's a certain section of people who say, well, we need to have that hard evidence. Is that kind of what you're pointing to?
Dude, no one wants to put their, no one wants to. So, okay, it's not only their fault. It's also because the bureaucracy is what it is. You have, let's say you have an innocent, a good American that sees something and says something even within the intelligence industry, right? Say, hey, this is here, blah, 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 we do something about it. But then but they can't pull the trigger and get things in action. They have to tell somebody, and then they got to talk to somebody else, and they have meetings and committees, and then...
And the guy in control says, blow it out of the sky.
No, opposite. The guy in control's like, I'm not doing anything until all the politicking is done because I don't want to get in trouble.
Right, but it comes from somewhere, and that gets trickled down, right? And then the action gets taken. Once the message from high up is received, then it comes down, and the message from high up is, blow it out of the sky.
Yeah.
And then they do that. And to me, that is such a massively ridiculous level of incompetence. And if all that we're seeing over and over and over, I feel like if the more incompetence that you see, the more I'm less convinced that it's just incompetence and ignorance, as it is there's an intent behind this to, I'm not even sure what, to placate China, and I guess that when they go through with this whole Trump kind of a thing, it's like, well, how is it that you guys came to this decision? Like, if I was in Congress, I'd be very interested in asking whoever was in control of this, how did it come to the decision that this was the best option to destroy this thing rather than capture it?
One of two things. Either they don't know and they want to make sure there's no evidence of them blowing up, of them, like, you don't want to capture this, oh, this was just a FFA, this is the Future Farmers America putting this thing out there. Like, you don't want to go through all this effort, dun, 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 America, and save this, get this out of the sky and take it down and do the analysis. It was just some blimp from whatever else. And also,
we learned what it was before we shot it down.
Chinese spy balloon. You also don't want to have it be that, because then you have to do something about it. So they don't want to know the answer to it. They want to have it ambiguous so they can blow it out of the sky. We dealt with the problem. We don't really know what it was, and they don't have to do anything.
All that this is sounding like is whatever they're doing to Trump here in this investigation is providing tools to use to figure out this kind of stuff. This basic, simple kind of stuff. Like, let's investigate the incompetence of these people, because with Trump in this situation, it's largely interpretation with a bunch of people, with a bunch of orbiters surrounding him who are backing him up in it. And maybe they're lying, and if they're lying, then that's on them. But if they're lying, then that's what Trump, then Trump is believing a bunch of liars. And so to me, it kind of seems like when you look at this on more of a wide lens, like there's something that I've kind of noticed of what happens is that the Democrats oftentimes break rules. They change the norms of the game. They change the rules of the game. And then when the time is right, the Republicans use those changes to just decimate the Democrats, and they can end up getting their way. And I think it's a very dangerous process for them to do, because oftentimes the Democrats fail. but they set the precedent. They set the new standard. But
Yeah.
okay, I've ranted
And
enough about
actually,
this.
Ben Shapiro had said about the RICO statute, saying that also says the thing is once you start using it, well, it's gonna be. I mean, even though it should be there, maybe, but it's gonna happen, and that's gonna be the new standard of what you do.
And that's a
And-
dangerous
And
precedent to
it
set.
might turn out to be a good thing in the long run, in the sense of if we're able to get more of the dirty politicians. But
Imagine if Trump gets back in, and now he has all of these precedential tools. It's
Yep.
no longer going to be a novel thing.
yeah,
You know, an untested, unproven theory. It's not
yeah,
going to be
so it's
any
one
of
those
that.
things like if you try to kill the king, you better kill him.
Yeah, you better get him. And so far, I mean, it's like, what do you guys got? Like, because so far this is nothing. Like, I don't really hear.
So
I don't hear. I remember during the Russiagate, all of the Russiagate stuff. People were like, "Oh, they got him. The walls are closing in."
They
Like
said
the
it so many
narrative
times.
was so strong around it, and here it's just like nobody really. I mean, maybe the media is talking about it all the time, but the people, they don't even want to bring it up. They don't even bring it up.
Yeah, we'll see about it, but the unfortunate part is that they could have absolutely no evidence, and a jury of his peers that don't like Trump could just say guilty.
Well, I
And-
presume
and-
that they would have to have like
or-
a unanimous decision or something.
Yes, but it doesn't matter if you're in a place with what I'm saying is we're unfortunately in a place in the world where you don't have to be a fair, what do you call that, fair, you don't
I don't know,
have to
fair-minded
argue in good
individual.
faith. You don't
Yeah.
have to have good faith at all. You just have to, you believe your crap, and whatever tools you can use to get your crap to happen, that's what you should do. It has nothing to do with what you believe or what the actual rules are. And so when people are just like, yeah,
Well,
we
I
think he's
presume
guilty.
that they would be able to remove jurors who have a heavy bias.
Yeah.
I would presume that that's there, and so I honestly, I don't think that this is going to go anywhere. I just don't think that this
I
is going
hope
to go
you're
anywhere.
right.
But let's continue with
They're
what
gonna
he has to
fingerprint
say.
him. They're going to fingerprint him.
He let
and
China
do
off the
much
hook for COVID. He shut down the investigation into the origins of the China virus. He did nothing as China began setting up bases in Cuba, taking over South America, and threatening Taiwan. They even took over the Panama Canal. We spent a fortune building it. Jimmy Carter's administration sold it for $1. We lost 36,000 people building the Panama Canal. The mosquitoes got them, malaria. The mosquitoes got them. And now China controls it. Russia and China are even doing military exercises near the Aleutian Islands, right off the coast of Alaska. And Biden sits back on his hands. He does nothing. This never would have happened if I was president. If they even thought about it, I would have shut it down instantly. There's no way they would have done any of this kind of thing, including Russia invading Ukraine would have never happened. And China wouldn't even be thinking about Taiwan right now. Crooked Joe's corruption is a glaring threat to national security. Between the millions and millions of dollars he's gotten from China and the millions of dollars from Ukraine, Joe Biden's greed and criminality is going to get us into World War III. We're going to be in World War III with this guy. Grossly incompetent man. Now the corrupt Biden DOJ is continuing the cover-up with the appointment of a special counsel to block further investigation. It's the very same U.S. attorney who cut Hunter Biden the scandalous plea deal that was such a scam it didn't survive the barest scrutiny in court. It was done under what's called blue slip. It wasn't picked in that position by President Trump. It was picked by the Democrat senators in the state. It's called a blue slip. You'll check it out. But they picked him. I didn't pick him. This is corruption like our country has never seen before. That is why as soon as I am reelected, I will appoint a real special counsel, or maybe you'll call it a special prosecutor, whatever you want to call it, you can.
There it is again. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
so
do something. I
this
don't
is-
care what you call it.
I
But I'm
feel like
gonna
there's
get the
another video
results.
that he also released that talked more about Georgia, but that's whatever. It's fine. Um, the the thing the thing that I don't like about this, even though it's all good, is he's fighting the system with the system. It feels a little bit like that. Like you do a special prosecutor, I'll do a special prosecutor. I like more of a burning it down type of mentality,
Which
or like
sounds more like a Vivek thing, right?
sure, yeah, but I'm not looking for him to be exactly Vivek with his stance, but I'm just saying how it makes me feel. Like when I hear this, I'm like, that sounds like you're using the system to prosecute itself, and it's like,
Well, so that's something that I kind of have respected him about is that he uses because basically the way that one of the charms I think and the positive qualities of Trump that I think a lot of people see in him is that he does believe in America and he does
Mhm.
believe in the American system. And
Mhm.
so he is willing to go through the harsh aspects of the American system, but he respects this system so much that in order to defeat these harsh negative things that can happen to people such as himself, he can also use those tools to take out
I hope
the
so.
no do-gooders, you
I
know.
hope so. I just get the, um, like I didn't expect to be hit with that feeling, but I did feel like that yesterday, and I remembered it now. I was like, I didn't remember it until that came up. I was like, oh yeah, I felt that yesterday.
Wouldn't it be a bit of a betrayal of Trump's character to subvert the American system?
Uh, I see your point, and I'm not looking for necessarily. Um,
It's more just a feeling for you of
it's
like,
more of a
you
feeling, and
know,
I wish I had a different tenor on it. I wish it were more like, you know what? Maybe this is a nice change for him to say this instead of what he normally says. Like he will say a lot of things like burn it all down, all these guys are getting fired, whatever. He just says kind of stuff like that, and maybe this is a better.
it sets him up for the future to say, look, when I come at you guys, I'm using the system, which only then, which actually, in effect of what this does, what this message does, is it, and your qualm with it is that it's not a burn it down thing. It's a um, fight fire with fire kind of a thing. And the whole thing that's going on with him in Georgia is that they're acting as
Fight
though
fire with fire is a good example of fighting fire with fire.
well,
I
but
just
hold
feel
on.
like I feel like it's when you have a precinct to investigate itself for wrongdoing. It's almost like that. It's almost like
Well, but it
because
depends on the
even if he
person who's
appoints even if he
investigating.
appoints a special prosecutor that's completely a Trump dude, there's still this deep state system that they're in control of. They could just
True.
slide paperwork around and just like slow play certain things and do other things that like, sorry, this is the best that we
He's
can
gonna
do.
get
It's got
bogged
this,
down
and
in the system.
so that's
There's
why I don't
bogging
like
down.
it. It's because it feels like like maybe we can get things done in the system, but it's going to
Maybe
be
we
less
have to go
effective
outside of the
than
system.
it should be.
I get what you're saying, but I feel like if he were okay, if he were to go against what he's saying here, if he were to do the opposite and go roughly outside of the system, that would only further justify the intention and the that he had of with Georgia in going after in basically lying and knowing that he had lost and knowing all of this stuff and trying to steal the election, right? Because he would be trying to go outside of the
You're
system
saying
in
he's
order
trying to,
in order to win. And so
I guess so.
what he's doing here is he's saying, look, I'm not about going outside of the system to win.
Now,
I
I
believe
don't
in the
have an
American
exact
system.
answer of what I wanted him to say there. So, I mean, that's fine. I don't have a solution for what I think the best thing to say there. I'm just saying how it made me feel. So I
I
do
get
get
it.
your point.
I get
do
it.
get your point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
Okay, let's go.
finish it up.
To look at all of these bribes, kickbacks, and other crimes, as well as the shameless attempt at a cover-up, justice will be done. The Biden crime family will be looked at. We have to get there first. We have to win the election. They're trying to step in my way at every path because the one person they don't want to run is Donald Trump. But when we get there, the Biden crime family will pay a price like other people are being forced to pay. And that price will be very, very substantial. It'll be fair. You know what? If they're guilty, they're going to be guilty. What they are doing to justice in this country has never even been thought of before. Thank you very much.
I must have saw some other video because there's some video where he responded to the prosecution, but I
Yeah.
sent you the wrong one. But either way,
Hey, it works for me.
it's
I think it fostered a very interesting conversation. A lot of interesting points, and I take to your feeling, because I know that a lot of people, when they did vote for Trump the first time around, a lot of the sentiment was to just burn it all down to the ground, and so I think that, like, by any means necessary, because they knew that the system was
maybe some people
corrupt.
had that. I never had by many. I've never had by any means necessary as part of my philosophy for anything. In fact, I fight against friends and family when they have that type of thing. I don't
Sure,
like the
I'm not saying that that's
yeah.
necessarily. I'm not trying to. Apologies if
No,
it came off that way. I'm not tying that necessarily to you, but that was a level of Trump appeal. Was, look, the system is corrupt, and the only
Yeah.
way to
Drain the swamp.
destroy to drain the swamp and break the corruption is to burn it down, and to try to do that within the system.
Yeah.
What seems as though it's an impossible task.
Yeah.
And so people were willing to accept the impossibility, or to accept that he would burn it down, regardless of whether it was possible or not.
Yeah. Whether Vivek is the man for the job or not, I really, really love that approach of, because it's like cutting the baby or cutting whatever. It's where you're not burning it down, but you're burning it down. It's like what you're doing is that you're saying, I'm going to gut the living crap and take all of the garbage out and put the good people in with agencies that are working.
It's a
And everyone else is just
reorganization.
going to fall off into nothingness and just go ahead and try to be lobbyists. There's only so much room for that type of thing. You guys are going to have to
Yeah.
find a real
It would
job.
be a full reorganization.
Yeah, so I like it. It's not bringing the thing down in the sense that it's not just like if you just remove the Department of Education completely without any other measure, that just feels bad.
Yeah.
But if you put something in place where you have like some small board that does some ordering between the state that deals with the federal funding for the different states, and they got to interact with some little smaller office that that has 250 people in it, that does some sort of thing to standardize something. I don't know. I mean, if you could put something in place in the meantime and then fade that out, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it does. Even though I hate the Department of Education, I think it feels bad, and it'll feel bad to other people that don't know enough. Like, I would be okay with
Yeah.
it. I'd be like, sure, let's do it.
You know,
But
Vivek
I'm worried
has
about how
some.
it'll be swallowed by everybody else.
He has some risky points to make. I think that he explains it very well, and he puts it in a very understandable and digestible way that people, I believe, would be able to accept. But the concepts themselves, so if people are hearing those things from somebody else and not listening
Yeah.
to Vivek, then I can understand them having a
Alright,
difficult
yeah.
time processing
So
and
if Trump's
accepting
demand
it.
for it, I'm saying that a lot of the Vivek policies have tremendous merit, and he's a very, very smart guy, and he has
Yeah.
a good plan to do like two things at once. The issue is that I don't know if Trump's the guy to deliver the message, because it's so complicated to make it to sell it, because Vivek's a salesman basically,
Yeah.
like it's hard to sell it and make people feel good about it and implement the thing. It's like there's two hard things. And so if Trump's the man,
I think Vivek's biggest hurdle. I think if Vivek ran in 2028, I think it would be a landslide. But I think that his I don't think it's a bad idea for him to run now, and I hope that if he does not win it, that he runs in 2028. But I think that his biggest hurdle is that this is the time of Trump.
This is Trump,
like
right,
this
right,
is it is a
that is
this is the part of the redemption arc. This is part of the conclusion. And we more or less kind of need to be able to see this through one way or the other. Either Trump wins it or he loses it. One way or the other. This is Trump's race to lose or win. Vivek is, and it's sad to say that he's kind of a side character in it, but he is an absolutely magnificent side character. He is somebody that I do not want to see vanish from the face of politics. I want to see him run again. Should he not take it this time? Because I think that he has the right set of mind. He has the right frame of mind. And I think he has the right policies. And I think that he would do an absolutely fantastic job. It's just that he's going up against Trump, and this is Trump's time.
Some things that have really made me feel better about Vivek running and the Trump dynamic is he had stated several times, and he's been more clear on that lately because I think he's developed his thoughts on it more. The idea of course, he's not running to be number 2, but he's added some other parts to that where he's saying, so like what. But I was like, I'm not looking to be chief of staff or this or department head, or whatever else. He said, but it's like I see that we all have a role to play, and no matter who wins this, so that I think we should play. I think that we should serve in advisory roles.
Yes, I think that's absolutely the case with Vivek.
He's like I said, it's like if I win this, I welcome Trump in an advisory role. Like we're not number 2, not whatever else. Just as his own man,
I can call him on the phone,
right?
And I can ask him for advice.
And that's a way to kind of, and he's also trying to humanize and not take away of anyone's individual power. Like you don't have to like dealing with DeSantis and other members on the stage there. Like a lot of people do have their role to play, and it shouldn't be us tearing our whole roster down or good people. Down. It should be trying to win, and then if not, then we need to find a way to proceed forward in our own ways.
I would love it if Trump picked him up as an advisor, not even necessarily as in some official capacity, like just somebody to call and talk to and kind of like bounce ideas off of or something like that. I would love to see something like that happen. The more I listen to Vivek, the more I love the guy. The more I think that he's very much right for the job. It's just about the timing for it. And I think that this is the right timing for him to enter into it. Because I think that what he has...
Very welcome. Yeah.
I think that what he has to offer is... It's Trump. What he has to offer is Trump without the baggage. And I think that allowing the people the option to say, do I want Trump
He's an off-ramp.
stuff? He's a what?
He's an off-ramp. So the off-ramp idea, he's an off-ramp for people that are so just like hate Trump because fuck Trump, just because, right? Like they have all this anger towards something, even if they're good ideas that maybe they'd like, it doesn't matter. But I'm saying but Vivek, if he has the same type of ideas, but he's not Trump, it's a place that people can go and join our vision, kind of thing.
Most people don't complain about Trump's policies. They complain about his behaviors. And so if what Vivek is aiming to do is adopt Trump's policies and he just lacks the behavior.
And iterate upon the policies.
Yeah.
So he's saying that it's so important. I so respect how because as I listen to him, he's come forward with more and more evolution of his thought on the idea. Say like, you know, like it's like Trump he did the important thing. He defeated Hillary Clinton, and he put the label on the fake news, and he set the stage, and he set things in place, and he's made his impact, and he got the Make America Great Again message out, and like it mobilized a certain set of people, and you don't have to be the exact same guy,
Right.
to continue that on.
Right.
Like you don't have to do the exact same way either. It doesn't have to be like, oh, let's copy Trump, let's be exactly Trump, whatever else. And another thing Vivek is saying is that like it doesn't, like the idea of America First or even MAGA isn't Trump only. It's not only Trump's. It's everyone in the group, right?
Yeah.
It's everyone's in the group, and it's kind of it's bigger than Trump. It's bigger than that, and so you have to be able to, in order to push it forward, you have to let other people live in that space and operate with those type of mindsets and those type of policies, and you can't just try to say it's only Trump and then it dies. What use is that?
Right.
What use is it if you have ideas that die with a candidate? There's no use in that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's call it there.
All
right. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, hit that bell notification, so you can catch everything when it drops. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a very fun and lively conversation and viewing. So we'll see you on the next one. Later, guys.